access to those individuals is really going to be beneficial for our members. Rowan, you're just making my eyes hurt. Anyway, longtime consultant, and one of the classes that I teach is project management. I teach both at the undergraduate and graduate level. And while that's a cursory overview, I do hope that the interest for either joining the PMC club or taking one of my classes will lead you to get potentially certified as well. And we do have this club and UTD JSOM school has a close relationship with the PMI organization and the PMI Dallas chapter. And in fact, I was invited to sit on an upcoming career planning panel with PMI Dallas that's going to be on October the 15th. So we have a strong relationship with that organization, and I think the interaction that you're going to get with the PMC Club with other professions is something that I think is going to be very difficult to get in other student organizations. Welcome to be here. Glad to be here.
That's right, Prof. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's absolutely right. We are associated with PMI Dallas, and that's a great thing because we all are students here. And as students, we like to have as much exposure to the industry or the industry folks as much possible. So that's a great platform to be in or to be associated with, where we constantly get updates from PMI. There are speakers who are sent in here to talk about various technical trends that going on in the market and whatnot. Even we are also invited for various of their programs. We are given passes as well. And also, if we are a PMI member, then we can end up giving the certification exams at a reduced cost. So everything is available, everything is possible if you are a member of PMC. So thank you, Professor, once again. So I'll move on to the next slide. So before I talk more about PMC, I would like to introduce our leaders, the current leaders for PMC. So we have Famina, like the presenter today. She is the vice president. Then we have Durga Lakshmi, she is secretary. We have Yashasvi, she is the committee chair as well as the treasurer. We have Tiffany, like she is our secretary from undergrad. She is basically our undergrad engagement lead. So we have a heavy presence of undergrad students as well, all across UTD. So she is the one who is driving this program and like promoting our club to the undergrads. We have other officers as well. Like in a club, you might be knowing that there are various other teams, sub-teams, right? So all these teams have respective leads. So we have various other teams, as in operations team, marketing team, SOC team. SOC stands for Student Organization Center. I'll talk about it more later. Then we have communications team and then designs team. So we have the leads, like we have Janavi from operations, Geetika from marketing, Priyanka from SOC, Shrisha from communication, and Vababi from designs. I believe a few of them are here today with us. So hi guys. Then I would like to talk about our alums. I mean, we have alums who have been associated with us constantly, even after they have graduated. And when they were part of UTD, they were heavily involved with PMC, right? And not only did they get opportunities to do amazing internships, but they also ended up landing amazing offers from various big companies. Like as you can see from this particular slide, we have folks like Tarun, like who is an MBA student. He's a dual major student. In fact, he just did his internship from Tesla last semester. Then we have Shipali, like who is working at PwC. We have Bharti, like who is working with Amazon Web Services right now. We have Nityashri, and we all can see Ezhil as well, right at the bottom corner, like who is our guest speaker today. So yeah, we have folks who are present in various different industries, and they are constantly in touch with us and helping our current members and students to be industry ready, to be job ready. So I'll move on to the next slide. So what we do, basically, what are the kinds of events that we do? So out of various events, the first thing that I would like to say or talk about is our biggest event that we try to conduct once every year. That is the case competition. So in case competition, what we do, we have a sponsor company who actually comes up with a problem statement, and we have to come up with an answer or a solution for them. We as in the member, the participants, like who enroll for the competition or the contest, and they at the very end come up with their presentation and their report, and they have to stand in front of a panelist which comprises of members from the sponsor company as well as members from the PMI, along with our faculty advisors and other professors from the university. So once you are through that phase, through that round, guess what? You are the winners, and we end up paying like almost thousands of dollars. We try to end up give gifts or coupons or some sort of vouchers which you can use for your academic purposes or for other purposes. So this is one of the pictures that we had or conducted in 2018. So if I'm not wrong, Cyber Group was the sponsor that time. We came up with a solution for one of the problem statements that they had, and they were really pleased. Not only did they give us like opportunities in terms of like the cash prizes, they also helped us with a lot of coaching sessions, mentoring sessions. So yeah. Then moving on to another program that we try to conduct every semester, if not every semester, but every year, that is the alumni mixer. As you see, like we have so much alumni, they are working at various places. So we try to connect you guys, the members of the club, with them. So it's a 2-hour event. You guys can come in, have some food, talk to them on a personal basis, connect with them, exchange numbers or LinkedIn contacts, and then be in touch with them for a long, long time. So it totally depends on you how you are going to use that opportunity to build your networking and to build your professional contacts. So this is one of the events that we are going to conduct this year as well. So as you can see, like this particular slide tells about various different events that we conduct. Starting from case competition, we have alumni mixer, we conduct PMP prep sessions because we have had members who were PMP, like project management professional certified members. So they personally gave coaching tips and mentoring sessions to the interested folks of the club. Then we usually conduct panel discussion where we bring in various folks from the industries, and it's a like open floor. You guys can ask any question related to project management or related to the industry, and they will come up with the answers and also guide you in having a successful career in that particular path. Then you can see at the very right hand side corner, bottom corner, PMI participation. So as I was talking about earlier, like we are invited to a lot of PMI Dallas events. So this is one of them where you can see Famina right there in the middle. So she went there along with other members and officers of our club. And it was a wonderful event where not only did she learn a lot of things, but they all got to interact with a lot of industry people. Like there were people from various different sectors, right? Everybody associated with PMP, PMI rather. So yeah, so these are the kind of events that we organize. Along with that, workshops. We conduct various sorts of workshops. It can be on project management tools, or it can be on ITIL tools, Jira, ServiceNow, and whatnot. So these are the things that we do. So I would like to call Famina. Famina, would you like to say something about
Yes.
like our hourly awards and take it from here? All right.
Yes, so we as PMC have been one of the very active organizations, among one of the most active organizations in JSOM, and you can see that we were also nominated earlier for a lot of Auli Awards. Auli Awards is actually the yearly awards which is given to the JSOM organization. So we being a JSOM organization, we have been nominated a lot of times as one of the student organization of the year, and we also have had received nominations for student leader of the year. So going forward, to the next slide, we can see. Okay, I'll speak about why should you be a member with us. So already Rohan has mentioned that we have already association with PMI, as well as we do a lot of prep sessions where you can learn more about PMP as well as the exams related to project management certification. So if you are totally new to project management and you do not know what is project management and how do I go about to create a career in project management, look no further. We are the organization which can help you understand what project management is and at the same time make a successful career in it as well. So we help you create healthy relationships with our alumni. As we already know, majority of our alumni have landed really successful job in big companies, and we can get their connections to help us reach to the same level as well. And also we do get a lot of industry members, especially senior project managers who have had a lot of experience, and they speak about what they did as a starter to begin with and explore project management. And also if you become an officer with us, we help you become a leader and lead a team in itself. So through leading, you already learn what managing is. So I think that itself explains how you can manage a project as well. Also, we give you assistance with PMP and CAPM, understanding the difference between what PMP is and what CAPM is and what you are qualified to give. Also, we do give you chances to have mock interviews and developing and managing some projects. So we these are the benefits that you can have if you join us. Going forward to the next slide. Okay, so for you, how you can be a lifelong member with PMC? What you need to do is you just need to pay $10. That's just the minimal amount. We do not charge too much. So just $10, and you can just send it to the number. I would request all of you to take a screenshot of this image because this is going to be really helpful. Maybe a few days down the line, you change your mind and you decide that, okay, I want to be a member with PMC. So you can have the screenshot handy with you. So do Zelle or send it across to this number. She's our treasurer, Yashasvi. So she's going to handle the membership. And also do not forget that if you have sent out the membership, send an email to us with your net ID and your phone number to utdpmc@gmail.com. So please do mention on your subject that this is the membership fee that you're registering as a member with us. So we will recognize that you have already paid the amount and now you're registering with us. So this is just 3 simple steps. Remember that. I hope like everyone has taken the screenshot. I'm just going to keep that page again. Rohan, can you just go back to the previous page for a while? Yeah, so that everyone can just take a screenshot of this page, and you can reach out to us if you're facing any issues, if you're planning to be a member and you're not able to follow up with this. Yeah, so I think we can go ahead now. Second is how to become an officer. So if you're interested to create events, manage events, and be involved with our organization, not only by being a member, but by also being someone who creates events and makes valuable content for our members. So you are welcome. So we will be rolling out a form for new members, like officers. Like we'll be rolling out a form where you can enroll yourself, and we'll be having a scheduled interviews where we are going to interview you as an officer and understand what your preferences are, because we have a lot of teams. We have SOC team, we have marketing team, we have communications team, we have design team, and there are so many different teams that we work in. So we want to understand first what your preference is, and based on your preference and your enthusiasm to being part of our officers team, we are going to select you. So we will be definitely sending out further updates on this. So the different teams that are part of PMC is SOC, then there is social media marketing officers, communication, corporate relations, operations, event officers, designing, and creative officers. So this will be sent out to everyone who is being part of the meeting today and you have registered with us. We'll be sending out this link to you all. Going forward, So some of our industry associations, some of our alumni are already working in some of the big companies mentioned here. And in addition, we do get a lot of experienced individuals from this company to come over for our events. So we do have lined up a lot of events, which we'll be talking about a bit in a while. Going forward, yes, so I would say join us. And as I mentioned, that we have a lot of events coming up. So the events that we have are, maybe we can have a potential case competition, a panel discussion, and as well as a workshop for project management. So look forward to our events in the future. And yes, more importantly, follow us on all of our social media handles, because we keep posting a lot of updates on social media, and we look forward to seeing you all again and gracing our events. So yes, going forward, we are going to jump into the main event. That is, we'll be having our guest speaker, Ezhilarasan Ravichandran, who is going to speak about the topic, the role of project management in consulting. So let me speak something about our guest today. So he is a BI and analytics consultant with Visual BI, and it's been a year and a half that he's working with them. Before that, he was also a data analyst with Crown Administrations and a systems engineer with Infosys. So being an alumni with us, he knows what PMI has been, and today he's here to support us and help all our members to learn more about project management in consulting. So going forward, I would hand over to Ezhil to speak something. And I think Rohan, you can stop sharing your screen so Ezhil can take over from here.
Yeah, thank you, Famina. So Ezhil, here you go.
Thank you, Rohan. Take over the screen. Okay.
Professor Scott, do you want to say something like before Ezhil can begin with the session?
Yeah, thank you. I wanted just to one last thing about joining the club, and especially seeking out an officer position. I think a lot of students believe that they need to wait until they're in their last semester or two to be an officer in the club, and I think that's error prone, because I think everyone on this call who's in their last semester knows that your primary focus besides graduating with a great GPA is to get a job. So I would highly encourage, even if this is your potentially even your first semester at UTD, to look at becoming an officer. It's just the title of somebody who has a responsible role of engaging in that area on behalf of the club. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything. It doesn't mean that you're going to be left alone and you're not going to get support. So don't worry that you haven't been at UTD for a long time. If you want to become active within an organization, especially PMC, do it early so that you can actually gain that attention and experience that will then lead into getting potentially a really nice internship or a job.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your inputs. Thank you. Yes, going forward, I tell Ezhil to take over and start with his session.
Okay. Thank you, Famina. Hey, everyone. This is Ezhilarasan Ravichandran. I'm a BI analytics consultant with Visual BI. I graduated from UT Dallas last year. I was a 2019 spring graduate, and I was with PMC for the whole 2 years. I was in UTD. As Professor said, you don't wait for the last semester, right? My first interview coming to US to do my master's is with PMC. So it's like in the first month you're in, you need to roll into something, and then you need to explore things. So I think to start with, first month or second month, like whatever, like when you're in the first semester, like get started with the clubs which you really like. And if you are into project management, and if you really want to do something, project management is not just just the project management skills, or like it's not going to be like, oh, I'm in a project management club and I'm going to be a project manager. It's not like that. Maybe you can say most of us, like in the last 3-4 years, if you would have seen, they would have like ended up in like different roles. one would have been a technology consultant, one would have been a technology manager, and a scrum master, project manager, a developer. Like, so everything, comes down to what do you take from the club, right? So what I'm going to talk about today is something related to that. So how project management can be related to consulting, and how that actually, can help you do better in a consulting job. For example, if you are actually looking forward to a consulting role, let's say you want to be a strategy consultant or a technology consultant, so and so. Project management skill is one of the important skills which you need to have as a consultant. So to kickstart that, I want to just give an introduction of like what we're going to speak about today. So we'll start about just to give an introduction of what consulting is. I know that we have a big shark in the house, Mr. Scott. So Professor, like if I make any mistakes or something, yeah, let me know. I know you are like way more experienced than I am. I'm just starting my career. Like I'm into this for like the last 2-3 years. That's it. But whatever I know, I'm gonna share. So at the end, we will have the floor open for questions. If I had made any mistakes on the flow, yeah, correct me, and yeah, we would really appreciate you pitching in anywhere you seem to be a little bit off in my presentation. And yeah, back to the presentation. So I want to give an introduction to what consulting is, right? As for when I started with UTD as a master's student, right, I had like two different things in my head. Okay, I want to be a consultant, I want to be a business analyst, I want to be a project manager, and I also want to be a data analyst. So it's not two things. Now it became 3, 4, right? We start somewhere and we wanted to do multiple things. Sometimes when you start your master's, you kind of like in a place, you want to explore everything and try different things. So consulting is something which was so exciting for me when I started my master's. And that's when I started exploring what are the things I can do in consulting and what are the things will get me or help me to get to that particular role. So that's where I kind of like, got into project management, and I approached Project Management Club, and we, started rolling together. That's when. And we'll see what consulting is, and then what are the challenges in a consulting job. It's not just the consulting job, the role itself, right? What are the problems, or what are the things you might face in a day-to-day consulting job? And the third one will be, what is project management's role in a consulting job? So how project management actually complements a consulting role. So that's something which we talk about. And then to succeed in a consulting role, what are the things you need to have, and why project management is an important piece in that puzzle. So let's start discussing about that, and at the end we'll have a Q&A where I'll open the floor for you guys, like and we have like conversations. If you guys have any questions on how I got to this, or like anything specific on the presentation, or anything outside like consulting, you want to get into something specific, yeah, shoot me your questions. Okay. Yeah. Intro to consulting. So when you think of consulting, right, consulting is more of like you have some problem and you come to me, I'm an expert, and you ask me, okay, I have this problem, like how can I approach this? So this is more of like in a people-centric profession, where actually, the ability to help others will determine your effectiveness in the job. For example, how effective you are person in that specific area, or how knowledgeable you are in that specific domain, or how good you are in that specific tool. So take, for example, I'm a technology consultant. In day in and day out, I work with various other tools. And for example, Power BI, Tableau, most of the folks in the call might understand these things, right? Like Power BI, Tableau, Snowflake, Azure, and all those things. I work in all these things day in and day out. So when my clients come to me and ask, hey, Ezhil, like how we can do this thing better, and how you can make this happen. So all those things are something which you help your clients to manage things or understand things better where they need some help in, right? And also there are situations where you will come across where you have to be, on spot or like on point on what you are suggesting or what you are consulting. So those will be like challenges in a consulting domain. For example, right, like I have a question of like which tool will suit my particular need, right? So to answer that question, you can't just like that look at what they are doing now and just like that answer for that question. You have to analyze and see what actually will best suit for them, and you need to crunch numbers and talk to people and get your answers and then come up with a list of options and then see which suits for them. So all those things are like, process. You can say that it's a normal project, but in a normal project, you'll see what are the intricacies or like what are the pieces of it, which I can call it a puzzle. Each piece you need to like solve together to get to an bright picture, right? And then in a consultant role, it can be an internal or an external role. An internal consultant is someone who is actually inside a company, and he's like a knowledgeable person, where you can also call that person as a subject matter expert, where the people actually go to him for questions on, okay, let's say he's a tax consultant, right? The company is having some tax issues, and he's the person who you go to because he's an expert in that, and that's why he's there with the company to help the company in tax related issues. So he's an internal consultant. And an external consultant is someone who is actually off the payroll of that particular company. So the internal consultant is going to be actually on the company's payroll. It's like he's a full-time person and he's with the company. An external consultant is someone who is actually not in the payroll. He's going to be, helping that company for a short period of time. It can be a couple of weeks or a couple of days, even for like hours. There are a lot of people who consult for hours. Right? Let's take, for example, companies like BCG and McKinsey. These people do like hourly consulting. Actually, those are like, if you think of a strategy consulting point of view, those are really costly, but the hours and the amount of time they help you with, that's going to be an effective one because they are the experts. And instead of like two people with no idea breaking their heads trying to find a solution for something, you have a smart person who knows what actually that thing is, and then you bring them in an hour or two. He can actually crack the code, right? He can get it done. So that's where the external consultants comes into picture. Even internal consultant, like both of them are like experts, but where they sit and how they are dealt with the actual company itself. So that's where the internal and external. And the role of a consultant, I had like put down like 5 points, like what I feel might be important in a role of a consultant. So first thing is how you manage clients' expectations, right? A client is coming to you because he knows that you are the expert, so you're going to give him a right answer, or you're going to suggest him the right stuff. So that's why he's coming to you. So you need to keep up with that expectations and identify a risk triggering event. For example, you say, go and implement this tool, and without even doing a risk analysis on what all the things might come up with implementing that tool. If you give that opinion, that's going to backfire on you. So you have to be careful on what are the things might happen with the suggestions which are giving. And also you should plan for the future. Like if they want to migrate, let's say you ask them to implement a data warehouse now, and that warehouse might be going off in the in the next couple of years, and you are suggesting it to them now. So you need to consider all those things. What happens if the client comes back to me in the next 2 years and says, oh, you implemented an old solution, and why didn't you suggest us the new way of doing it? So all those things you need to consider. And then the third one, maintain clear communication line. For me, this is a mantra. So clear communication and effective communication are very important in any job, but in consulting, it's the first thing you should be very careful about, and you should be very good at, right? Like, so you just need to keep on honing that skill. So that comes by time, and it's something very important for a consulting role, because you're going to deal with people every day in and day out. And you need to be very good in dealing with people, which means you need to have an effective communication, and you need to be a little bit persuasive as well, right? Like in situations like if the client wants something in specific and he's not taking his head on that at all, you need to make him convinced that, that is not right. If it is not right, actually, if it is right, it's okay. If it is not right, and if the client is honest on that, for like he needs that, I need to make him convinced that that is not going to be helpful to you, and you need to stand ground on your point and say, this is the way it has to be, and that will be the right way to go about to be successful in that particular thing. So that's where the clear communication and the persuasive skills and all those things comes into picture. Fourth one is control scope creep. So scoping is in every project, right? Let's say I'm gonna build an application. So I need to see, let's think of an agile practice here. In agile practice, like you build applications in like different sprints. In each sprint, you have like specific use cases, or like you can call them backlogs, or you can call them features. So in every feature, there will be a set of items, like what this app will do and what are the capabilities we are going to enable in this product with that feature, right? So all those things, whether it can be completed in that 3 or 2 weeks of a sprint. And if you are building a 3 months or 4 months project, whether you can actually have these many sprints or these many months of project and complete this application in time. So all those things are the scope of a project. Like, what are the things you need to consider in this project? And if something out of the box comes up, let's say the user asked for a button, right? And now they're coming back and asking for another button and another button. So if it keeps on growing, you need to put a stop there. All those scoping has to be done at the start so that you have everything preset, and you do all the planning and budgeting and all those things at the beginning, and keep your scope not creeping out. So that's very important. And also, I need to work to improve others' conditions, right? This is mainly, the consultant's job. You're just trying to make something better, right? Someone is trying to find a solution. Someone is actually trying to do something which they are new to. That's where you are like pitching in, and you're helping them to do it better. That's it, right? That's what a consultant, more or less, what a consultant does. This is it, right? And as I said, to think of like how project management is actually helpful in consulting, we need to first see what are the challenges in consulting, and then see how those challenges are actually being taken care of or can be dealt with a project management tool or a skill or something specific as such, right? So let's talk about the challenges in consulting. So for me, if you ask me what are the challenges, these are something which comes up in my mind. Managing and satisfying clients' expectations, right? We talked about you need to set expectations, and you need to be on par or like above the expectation. So managing and satisfying the client's expectation is one of the important things to take care of. And then defining and controlling the scope of work. As I said, scope of work is important. Estimating the consulting projects. So when I said scoping, right, that scoping is the part where you actually estimate how much time or how much money this project is going to take, right? All these features the users wanted, how much time or how much money it's going to take. That's where you estimate the project. And then coping with the scarce resource. So scoping, if you have a project and then you have 3 months and you have only 2 resources, and you know that it's going to take 5 resources to complete that project in that much time, that's where you go behind people to get you more resources. So you need to cope up with that. And effective communicating, and you need to deal with resistances. And we will talk about these points in detail in the following slides. So dealing with the resistances and getting appropriate management support. So all these things are like the challenges a consultant might face in an unusual day. and much more actually. So I'll just keep these for now. Yeah, as I said, effective communication, right? Effective communication is the most, for me, the most in a consulting role. Only if you are actually able to communicate really well to the client or the customer, you will be able to actually get through that or get that solution in place or come to a conclusion in anything in a consulting role. So an effective communication is very important. To have an effective communication, it's not just that you speak very well or you have a very good English or you understand people well. That's not just going to help you in effective communication. Being a consultant, there is always a thing. You are an expert, right? So you need to be effective in the things which you speak. For example, if you are a Power BI consultant or a Azure consultant or a strategy consultant, right? What kind of strategies you are good at? Or you are a tax consultant. Are you really good in tax, right? If you, as I said, like if you're a Power BI consultant, how good you are in Power BI? Can you handle all the jargons, right? Can you actually effectively speak the language? When you speak with the users might be more knowledgeable than you in that, but still you need to keep it low and you need to have that effective communication. And can you walk the talk when in certain situations like that where actually you need to know the thing, you need to know that it's not just that it like half baked or you just started working on it for like a month or two and then now you're a consultant. That's not going to work or that's not going to help. Being an effective consultant is you're actually really good in that and you're going to help people make things better for them. So that's where the effective communication, understanding the problem and all those things comes into picture. So that's about it. And then scope of work. As I spoke about scope of work always, like we talk about 5 use cases and we have like each use cases have 10 features in them. So I have like 50 features, right? This is the scope of the project. One day the user might come in and say, hey, we need one more feature added into the scope. So can we do that? And when that scope starts creeping out, that's when you need to be very careful of how that scope actually creeps out and how long it's going to prolong. And is the customer or the client is actually ready to pay for that and is ready to wait that time. For example, if it is a feature which is going to actually take more than a month to implement and the overall time allotted for that project is 3 months, and now you want to include 1 more month into it and 4 months in, but the user actually wants the product in next 2 or 3 months because there will be always competitions within teams and different organizational internal stuff. So they might be like in a point that they want to release a specific feature or a tool or a product within a couple of months in a short time frame. So that's when you need to be careful because they rely on your knowledge in that specific area. So they're going to be looking forward to your suggestions on whether you can actually include that scope or that particular feature which they asked for into the scope. So that's all about like how you scope the work and keep the features or the like the pieces of the project together and then not include more so that you put yourself into a position where it might risk you. So this is about scoping of work. And then estimating. Okay, I scoped the project now and I know what I'm going to do. I had put everything together. These are the things I'm going to do, right? How many people I need for that? How much money it's going to cost? What are the resources I need to do? So this is all about resource planning and getting an estimate for all these things, right? Like let's say you need a strategy consultant at the start of the project to lay down the strategies of like how we need to maneuver in the project, and then you need to bring in an architect to actually build the entire solution first and then plan out how things should be set up, and then you bring in the developers to build that solution. So it's a step-by-step process. How much time each person is going to take to complete their process and how much money is it going to take. estimating a project is very important next to a scoping, because only if you scope it, you know how much you're going to do, and then you can actually estimate how much money it's going to take, right? So this is about estimating. And next thing is scarce resources, right? I estimated the project now, and I know it's going to take this much money and this much this many resources. And you go to the client and you give this proposal, and they are okay with it. And then you start the project, and you are in the go. And now you start to realize that, okay, this project or the features which we are actually dealing with might not be completed in the time which we planned with the resources we have, right? So that's where a situation of a scarce resources comes into picture, where you need to go back to the customer or the client to say, we need more resources because this is the situation. And if the client is ready to do that, are they gonna keep the same number of people and extend the timeline, or keep the same timeline or increase the number of people working on it, right? So there are various things which you can look into when it comes to scarce resources. And scarce resources, this particular issue doesn't happen very regularly, or like this is a very rare issue, because let's consider a small organization of like, let's say 10, 15 consultants, a small company which just started, and they are like trying to do some consulting. And consider a company which has like 1,000 employees, and they had been into the business for like more than a decade, and they know what they're doing, and they have the data behind it, right? The difference between these two is, I'm assuming that the first person which I talked about doesn't have the data. Right now, it's all about data. Like if you have the right data, you can design a project plan properly, right? And also it comes with the experience. With the data and the experience, that's when you can actually allocate right amount of time and resources for a set of projects, and you need to actually have experts in those specific things. Then when you can actually plan how much time it's going to take. Someone who had already done that only can say how much time it's going to take. Someone new, he can only guess, right? So that's where the resource planning and the scarcity of the resources might happen if you don't do the resource planning well. Expectations. So you're into the project, you started building the project, and the first release was cool, like it was really good, and the customer loves you, and it's all good, right? We go into the next sprint, or next phase of the project. You set the expectations there, and now you have to keep up with the expectations. If you go a little bit of your expectations, the client or the customer is gonna look fishy. Like he's not gonna be happy with what you're doing now, because you already set an expectation that you're gonna do this much and you're good at it, and this is what they can expect. They will set a bar on the money or the bucks they are paying. So to be straight on that, right? Like on the how much they pay, they're gonna expect. And if you had set the bar and said this particular thing can be done in so and so amount of time, and this much can it have. For example, if you're promising a very high performance reporting or a database, all those things comes into picture when you don't actually give them that. When you set an expectation, you need to keep up that. If you can't actually to deliver such products, you need to keep it below the levels which you can provide. So that's where again the scoping and dealing with the features or the whatever the product is going to have comes into picture. Like planning phase comes into picture when you set expectations. And then the resistances. So we know that being a consultant, it's not just you running a project. There are going to be like multiple factors in the company where you need to have support from the management, support from the people which you are working with, and support from the managers or the leads or like whoever you're actually working with from the client side. So it's always going to be there. A resistance is always going to be there, right? And if you actually build a really good relationship with the clients, it's not just the the top person who is actually dealing with this project. It's not just that. You need to be good with all the people in the chain till the very end. The analyst or an associate which you're working with, you need to be good with everyone. You need to have a very good communication. We need to have a very good relationship with them, or you will start seeing resistances. And there is a thing that usually the clients or the customers say, do what you are here for, don't do my job. So sometimes, like when things go out of hand, that those kind of things come up. So in a consulting job, always you're going to be if you're an external consultant. An internal consultant is a different thing. If you're an external consultant, these are the things might come into picture, right? So that's where you will have some resistance, and you might face some difficulties in handling the projects, or so and so, right? So we talked about what is consulting, and what are the difficulties you might face as a consultant. And whatever I said now, it's not just specific to a technology consultant role or a strategy consultant role. Be it any other side of like consulting, right? Consulting is not very specific to I go and like consult a specific tool or a technology or a solution or something like that. If you are in a place helping someone with something they really want to get through, or like get something done, and you are good at it, and they are hiring you or like taking you in to do that job, then you are actually consulting something to them and making things better for them. So that's more of like in a consulting role, and these are all things which you might have in such roles. So we talked about consulting, and we talked about all the what a consultant does and what are the difficulties you might face. Next, we'll see how a project management plays an effective role, or the project management tools or the skills. All these things play an effective role in consulting, right? I think I will start with a small example, which we guys like faced when we were in PMC. Yeah, a little bit of past, like 2 years back when we were in the PMC club, and we run events differently, right? So let's take, for example, in a fall semester, right? We have 5 events planned, and we're going to have a team of people. Let's say we are the entire club officer count is like 20 to 25, right? Like that team is going to split up, 25 is going to split. And then we're going to assign a project manager and an associate project manager or an assistant project manager for all of these projects. And those managers are going to pick their team from the existing, they are going to do their existing roles, but they will be like the leads for those specific activities which are going to happen throughout that semester. For example, I was in charge for an alumni event. So I was actually the project manager for that event. So I picked all the, who was going to be in that roles. And it's not just I picked, I just go and ask everyone who is going to be are interested in that particular event, they join hands. So that's what I say about like picking. So we form a group, and we have it's a team, right? You have a manager, and you have like different people working on different things, and we are going to pull off an event. So this is going to give you a real life example of how you can actually run a project, and what are the roles involved in a project, what are the things or the steps you need to take to successfully finish or start or run like every other step in a project. So that actually gave us an insight on how actually a project runs, the real life scenario, by just doing an event, right? We had Scrum boards, and we had like projects and like use cases assigned, and we had like timelines set for all those aspects or the features. We call them each features, and then based on which one is assigned to that and what is the timeline given for that. And the project manager, like every week we meet to talk about where we stand at the event, and we talk about how we can make that better, or like do we want to include more. I mean, again, right, scoping. Are we going to include more into this, or like are we good, like where do we stand, and then are we meeting the expectations with what we wanted to do in the beginning. So all these things actually we learned in those specific events, and then that helped us understand project management. And that's something which actually helped me in various different areas, right? When you talk about, let's say you are going for an interview for a consultant role or a project management role, or even a tech analyst, or any role you're going, even let's take, for example, a Tableau developer role, be it anything, right? You're going to be asked on how effective a team player you are, and how effectively you can actually manage the project, and how effective communicator you are, and then how good you are in that tool. First thing is obviously how good you are in the tool, but all these things matter equally, because all these things actually carry heavy weight in a project, right? The same thing, if you look at a consulting or like a consulting project, every piece of whatever I spoke now, having a plan, having it under scope, having it planned so that everyone is on time, and setting expectations, and having a timeline when we want to complete, or whether we want to prolong, or like how much and whatnot, right? All those phase of things. If you look at both hand in hand, project management actually can completely overlap with consulting. Like all the things which you take from, all the essence you take from project management, you can just completely implement in consulting, right? It's also, again, a project. Again, you're actually managing a project, right? Project management. And then you need those skills to be actually effective in the role which you're actually playing in that project, be it a team lead, or be it an associate, or be it a manager or a director, or whoever it is, right? You need to play the part in that project for the project to be successful. So that is how actually we learned through those kind of events, and that helped a lot of us in giving successful interviews and getting our internships, which gradually turned into full-time roles. And so that's something. So project management roles, right? So when I talked about the situations in a project, right? This is more of like in a consulting role. What are the situations you will have? First thing is like you assess a situation, and then you need to get it into the feedback loop and see what are the decisions we need to take, and where we stand with everything. Can we move ahead and start with this project? The third one will be actually developing and refining the solution. And then you need to pilot the solution and kickstart it and get it to a small group of users, and then see how things go, and then get it to a bigger user set. That is the transition and rollout. And then once it's in production, or like it's in the rollout stage, you go on and start the support or the monitor of the project, right? So all these steps are actually, if you look at them in a project management scenario, all these are like steps in a project. But when it comes to a consulting, a very good example for this is IT consulting. Since I'm an IT consultant, I can speak for this. And if you look at this, we go in and assess the situation or the use case, what the client wants, and then we plan what the best thing is for that client. What are the things will be helpful in their situation? You need to think in their situation and come up with a plan and see if that is going to be good for them. If they are actually stuck in something, let's say if they actually want to implement a tool, and that tool is not going to be good for them, you need to stand your stance, and you need to recommend the one which is actually good for them. You can be always nice to your client, but you need to speak the truth and make sure your client gets what he actually wants. So that's something a consultant's a job is. And next thing is like after the plan phase, you get into the implementation phase, right? Like you plan and you come up with the proper what needs to be done state, and then you go and start the implementation process. And implementation process in the sense you start your developing and all the testing, or like whatever the next thing comes, and then you hand it off. So this handoff state, or this whole implementation and test case, this is where you will actually have a lot of interaction with the customer or the client, where you actually get involved in the project completely, and you involve the customer also, and getting more interaction and getting more inputs from the users to understand where the project is going and how it should be going. So all those things happens here. And then once the project is done and the transition and the pilot situation is done, you can hand it off and you're good. And then you will be in the final stage where you monitor and support. So when you look at this list, assess the situation, right? So all these points which are listed at every stage, all these are actually a project management skill. And this one actually I took it from a article in PMI site, which all these things are actually taken from PMBOK, right? PMBOK is like it's a book where you have all the project management concepts, and PMI actually takes care of that, and they release like different versions. I think I haven't been following them for the last 2 years effectively. So I'm not sure they had come up with a new version, but I know that they did it around 2019, a new version or something came up. And also they revised their, you can say the portions or the content of the book, because that's when they actually revised the PMI, the certification, PMP certification actually. So all these points are actually a project management skill or something which is taken from PMBOK. So if you look at the assess situation, so first point, apply appropriate practices and methodologies and communicating effectively and dealing with political climate. So all these points, all these are basically a project management skill, right? Understanding an agile practice. Like for example, if you're actually, your project is in an agile platform, or like you're following a waterfall methodology for your project cycles, you need to first know that specific project management entity. That's when you can actually effectively be a part of the project, right? And then you need to be a very good communicator, which is also one of the project management skills which you need to have to be, good at assessing a situation. And all these things, like you need to be a very good, very good in gathering information on the project. And you need to interview people. For example, when you start a project, you need to know where the client's mentality sits and what they exactly want. They might say that they want apples, but actually what they want and what they actually are thinking about is an orange. So you need to pull that from them, and then you come up with a list of items, or like come up with a plan for them and say, this is what you actually want. So you need to interview them and then come up with a list of items and get the right thing for them, right? So all these things are actually, project management related. So feedback and decision, so it's selling techniques. So presenting information, making decisions, all these things are like project management skills, which are, effective in any situation, but in a consulting environment, these are very, very, very important, right? As I said, effective communication and interviewing skills, and interviewing skills in the sense, not about like interviewing for an job. I'm talking about interviewing the client or the customer and getting the right information from them, how good you are in that. So those all things come into this. And are you good in writing persuasively or technically, right? Like when you write an email or when you write a document, laying out all the solution or all the points which you want to include in that particular item which you are suggesting to the user or the client or the customer, you need to be persuasive in that. You need to give it technically and very persuasively that they're gonna, go with an option if they feel that is good. And then all these things, if you see, like everything is gonna be like more of like aligned to project management stuff, and that's something which we need to be good at, or you can't be good at the start, right? As I said, even I started like 2 years back, and I'm learning. I'm trying to learn every day, and I'm learning from people who I work with, consultants who have been in this field for like years. So that's how you grow. You just take examples from people and see people work and see how they communicate and see how effectively they deal with things. That's why you need to be in like forums like these to talk to different people and communicate with people and see how they do things, and then try to come up with your own way of doing things, which can be effective. So that's one part. As I said, to be a successful consultant, project management skill is very important. So I conclude with that, and I open the floor for questions. Does anyone have any questions on the presentation? And not just the presentation. If you guys have any questions, we can talk about it.
Thank you so much, Ezhil, for this amazing session. And we do have like some questions which were sent to us through the registrations. I'm not sure if some of the students are already here, but I'll be taking out their names. And if they want to emphasize on their question, they're almost welcome. So beginning with that, Vivek Srimali had a question saying, how can I leverage my experience at Project Management Club to my future employer?
Okay, that's a good question. So to talk about how you can actually effectively use your skill which you gather in project management, right? When we were talking about consulting, I did mention that we had events where we were actually set up as ourselves as like project managers, or like, work in teams and have set some schedules and working on timelines. And those skills actually will help you get better in what a project need, right? When I started with Project Management Club, I was actually, I won't say very bad. I was actually okay, but I'm bad in time management, and like I usually go off on schedule, and I get late to the classes. So I was pretty bad in that, right? After I started with the Project Management Club, when I was running things for the club, or planning for the club, you need to make sure things go as per plan, because it's not some like you have an assignment to submit tomorrow and you start working on it. We usually do it the day on the morning of that day, so it doesn't help that much, right? You need to plan it properly, and you need to pull it off. To pull it off properly, you need to actually do it way ahead, and make sure that you're actually doing it right, because people depend on it, right? So you have to make sure that. So that's where actually you learn or start learning that it's not just that particular thing which you do for the club which you actually learn from. When you start doing that, you'll start realizing you can implement that specific set of skills which you learn can be implemented anywhere, coming 5 or 10 minutes early to the classes, or getting your assignments done in like a day before. So all those things, like people we learn from things like these. For example, when you get a situation, that's when you actually start learning things. So to put you in a situation that where you can actually make mistakes. Let's say I make a mistake, right? In my current consulting job, I do something really bad, and my client doesn't like it, and he's gonna send an email to my boss that, okay, this guy did something wrong and we don't like him, right? That's it. That's the end of the line. My boss is not gonna like me. I might even get fired. But take, for example, you're in the project management club and you are running a project, and you did mess up something somewhere, but who's going to judge you? Your team, and all those. You can actually make mistakes here. That's something which I learned from my seniors, or like from what I used to do, right? You can make mistakes, you can learn from them, and the next time you make sure that you don't make mistakes, and that's how you get better. So that's what I say, like you can take to your future projects, or like your future employers.
Okay, there is someone who has raised their hand, so I'm going to let them speak. So yeah, I just saw. Yeah.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so my question was basically if like what kind of strategies would you guys suggest if we want to get into domain specific consulting? So say like I come from a healthcare background, that like my aim is to get into say life sciences consulting.
Mm-hmm.
So what sort of strategy should I like will be useful for me throughout my masters to help me get there?
I would say focus on, the things which you actually want to do. For example, you might have 50 courses which you can pick from, but pick the courses wisely so that you are staying on track. You know what you're going to do. So pick the courses specifically so that you're staying on track, and also connect with industry leaders and follow them on LinkedIn and read stuff about what you want to do and follow the similar profile people. For example, when I started, I used to follow all my seniors or whoever I see in LinkedIn. I just go and send a request and then send them a message. Hey, I see that you are working as an strategy consultant at BCG or McKinsey or whatever company I was looking forward to. And then I tell them I want to be in a similar role or a similar company in the future, and I would like to connect with you. And then you connect with them and you follow their steps, how they actually do things. That's why I say connect with more people so that you have a number of choices and you can follow many people and see various different, you can randomize things and you can pick and choose what best, works for you. For example, for me, I wanted to be a strategy consultant, but when I started off as a data analyst. And then I slowly move, once you became a little bit expert in what you do, that's when you actually can move into a consulting role. As you said, you want to be a life science consultant. First, you need to be an expert in that domain, right? So you need to build your domain knowledge and gain some good experience in that, because being a consultant on a specific domain, people are going to look for your experience a little bit, right? Try to get an internship in the same domain. It doesn't have to be a consultant role, right? Get into the role. For example, it might be I can't talk for the specific roles you are looking for. So even if it is an entry level role or whatever, like an internship, right? Get an internship and learn from it. Or if you actually have a very good experience or you already worked in it for a while, then aim for the actual role itself, right? There are internships for consulting roles itself. For example, McKinsey, BCG, and these guys. I'm just throwing out big names, but it's not like you have to work for the big four or the big companies, right? It's all about what kind of work you do and whether you like it or not, right? That's all about it. So if you pick your passion and then you pick the domain and you master the domain, and then that's where you can be a very good consultant in that role. As I said, you need to be an expert, and that's when you can actually, start consulting people on specific things which they want help with.
Yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, going forward, also the chat box is available to you all, so you all can drop in your messages there, and also you can raise your hand if you have any questions. Also, we have another question from Sandeep Gautam. So he says that how is project management of data science different from others?
Project management of data science is different from others. There is no difference, right? As I said, project management can be a part of any domain or any specific role. Let's talk about a data science project. You're not gonna just sit there and code the whole day. You need to talk to people. You need to get some inputs from people, and you need to be on schedule. You need to run meetings. You need to send people emails. So all these things are project management skills, right? A project can be any project. To manage it, you need project management skills to be better in whatever you're doing. So I would say there is no big difference between different projects. It's just the domain itself or the way the project works, right? For example, a project might actually suit for an agile practice, or a different project might be good for an a waterfall format, or it might be just a week or two project. For example, a data scientist, right? When someone hires a data scientist, they are not gonna start contributing to the company's income in the first day itself they are hired. A data scientist is like an investment to the company. They start working on things and they develop models and they work on projects, and they become fruitful only after a year or two. That's when they actually start making some sense in the company. So data science projects are going to be a long-term projects based on actually what they are doing. If they are building a machine learning algorithm, right, they're not going to build that machine learning algorithm in a month. They're going to have a big team of people working together on that big project, and they're going to have like multiple releases for that project, and they're going to have like multiple people working on that project. So that's how, you know, project management can be put into every other domain or every other project, which you can see in different domains.
Thank you, Ezil. Also, we have Sai Lakshmi,
Hi,
who's
I have a
raised her
question.
hand.
Yes, hi,
Yeah.
I'm Anisha. Hi, Anil. I think it was a great presentation. My
Thank you.
question is that what would you say about these certifications and project management that exist? I mean, do you think having a PMP certification or a Scrum product owner or similar certifications would help? And and also talk about if you don't have certification and if you want to go into project management, how else can you portray your skills?
Okay, that's a good question. So thanks for the question. When you look at a project manager role, right?
Mm-hmm.
A project manager role, if someone is going to interview you for a specific role, which is going to deal day in and day out, just project management, running calls, like sending emails, like, talking to people and getting things aligned, and all this complete just project management stuff, that's where people are going to look for a certification or an experience, right? So a certification will come in to help when you don't actually have the experience, correct? And then if you have an experience and if you have the certification as well, you will be in the top of the pile. So I have like 10 resumes in my hand. The first person has like 5 years of experience as a project manager, or like he doesn't have to be a project manager for the whole 5 years, right? He could have been an analyst and then a team lead and then a project manager. So but he has a skill to be a project manager. He was a project manager in his last role. So that person will be highly considered for this role. But still, a person who actually did a master's or like an undergrad, who started just now, and he has a PMI certification. Let's take, for example, your Scrum certification, right? If you want to be a specific, get into a specific role like a Scrum Master, there are a lot of companies out there, actually, they hire Scrum Masters specifically. I know a good friend of mine, actually, if you know, like in 2 years back, there are like 2 of our PMC members who actually became Scrum Masters, and they did actually do the Scrum certification that helped them secure that job. So we can actually, connect with those people and see how it actually helped them and what kind of role you want to go into, right? Being a Scrum Master, it's not just going to be, doing like different project stuff, or you will be having various other things going on in your role. So always a role doesn't restrict you to a specific thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you also, just to an extension to my question, would you say that project management certification, the PMP, is more generalized and versus Scrum product owner geared towards technology project management? Is that a fair way to analyze that?
I wouldn't say that. I would actually direct that question to Professor, because he would be more knowledgeable on that if he can. Because
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Great question. And I think that you hit it on the head as far as where certification comes into play in a relationship to experience. Certainly from an IT perspective, you'll see people get one certification after another with all the different programming language. I don't necessarily look favorably upon, let's say, a junior analyst or developer who's coming to join a company and they have very little experience, no interaction with clubs outside of just getting their degree, and they have 30 certifications. To me, that doesn't mean very much. It means they've taken the time to study, but can they actually apply things? Yeah. Flipping that to project management certification, I actually just finished my Agile Certified Practitioner certification earlier this year as well. So I think the combination of both is extremely helpful. And I do think that getting certainly a PMP or an ACP or something like that, that's very holistic in its view, lends a sense that you understand the full picture of project management. When we talk about Scrum Master, that's a specific role within a certain agile methodology. There are more than one agile methodology. So are you preventing yourself from working at an organization that looks at lean software development, right? That doesn't follow the Scrum methodology. It follows agile. So depending on kind of where you want to go, agile in its very core is software technology foundation. PMP, I think, does allow for a wider range of types of projects. It's very predictive waterfall methodology. But I think, you still have to have some experience to sit for those. I do think that having something from PMI is extremely helpful. But really, it's going to take a little bit of time and experience where the PMC kind of comes into play. You get involved with that community before you graduate, right? Yeah. So that will help a lot. But I really think that getting a full understanding of all the aspects of project management, regardless of whether it's software or healthcare, all follows the same principles of team leadership, understanding your customer, knowing success criteria. So I think the presentation was spot on of all the things that are involved in project management. Certification just adds that icing on the cake of what you already know or have experience in. So I have 2 certifications from PMI, so I would certainly endorse them. And you'll find that as you get more experience, that spans more into leading you into, let's say, a different industry than having a certification. But certification, I think, could get you in the door.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Professor Scott.
You bet.
Thank you. I think I can see another hand up. Lokesh, do you want to go ahead and ask a question?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So, I have started this semester virtually. So, my doubt is, like earlier you were mentioning about offices, right? There were different kind of offices such as SOC offices, social media marketing offices. So, what kind of tasks, like does the officers have in a PMC in the PMC club? Also, what kind of task will a member of PMC be assigned?
Okay, to explain you that, like for example, creating an event, beginning from planning of the event to implementing to marketing it, and making sure that your event is successful. So to explain how the lineup is, we reach out to the industry members. So first, reaching out to the industry members for them to come over and have an event with us, we need the communication officers and the corporate relation officers who do that for us. Then after that, we have the marketing team who comes up with marketing the event on all the social media platforms by creating the content for it. And then the design team helps in creating the flyers. So we have very attractive flyers through which we reach out to the students, and that's how we make sure that students join us for the event. And after that, we also have the SOC point of view. I think that was not explained, but Student Organization Center is a governing body of UTD, which takes care of all the student organizations which are part of the UTD. So we as a student organization have certain rules to abide by, which make sure that we follow the rules that UTD has for a student organization within them. So there are some points at meetings that you have to attend with SOC, and some good standing activities that we need to do to make sure that your club is in the good standing with SOC and you can continue to have events with them. So for example, right now in the COVID situation, it's a strict warning given to us that we cannot have any gathering of students for any types of event. So that's, if you do that, then the SOC can take any action against you. So that is what the SOC officers do, they have a point of contact. So they reach out to SOC, and any communication that has to be communicated to us, they give it to us. And I think other than that, operations officer take care of how the event goes, like for example, creating the meeting invites and reaching out to people to join the meeting, moderating the meeting. All of this is what the operations team does. So earlier we had the events on campus, so operations team would take care of the logistics of the event. So that's what I think briefs up what each officer does. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, yes. Thanks for that.
Yes.
And one more thing, like what about the normal members of the PMC? What kind of
Uh,
tasks play with the PS?
members of the PMC are not officers, so they get to attend our events exclusively. So some of the like for example, if we have a case competition, we might have entry fee. So members get a bit discounted entry fee. Members get a lot of benefits which other students who are not the members won't get. So that's the add-on benefit of being the member of PMC club.
Thanks.
Just to add on to
Okay,
what Amina said, yeah, sorry to barge in.
that's okay.
Yeah, just to add on to what Famina said, like the members, they are always welcome for all the activities that we perform as part of the club. Then there are exclusive events as well as there are events which are open to all the students, all the candidates from UTD. So the events which are exclusive to only the members of the club. So as you can understand, you are more than welcome to come and attend those events, maybe the workshop events or the alumni mixer or anything. Then again, like if we conduct a case competition or something, and if there's an entry fee, then our members get benefit in the sense either they don't have to pay anything to participate, or we kind of reduce their entry fee, and instead of let's say $10, you end up paying $4 or $5 and come up with your team and compete and at the end win the competition. So yeah, so members, like we are there for the members only. The officers are selected out of the members, and then we try and conduct events which eventually should be helping our members. So that's it.
Yeah, that's another point which Rohan mentioned, that every officer is a member of PMC. So you're first the member and then an officer. Okay,
Sure.
going forward, for Ezil, there was another question, and then I think if there are more questions, we can conclude the session. So the question was from Lakshit, and he had asked, what are the scope of project management in future, and what are the skills required in project management career? Um, Hello?
Yeah, this is Scott. I'm still on. Was that directed
Okay.
at somebody specific?
Yeah, the questions were for Ezhil, but I think something is
You
wrong.
may have
But
dropped. Yeah.
yeah, so I think Professor, you can take up and give an answer
Uh-oh.
to the students for this.
Ask that question again, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. The question is, what are the scope of project management in future, and what are the skills required in a project management career?
Well, I think it's you'll find that the skill sets change, and it's not just for project management, it's for kind of any role within an organization. You're going to be much more tactical at the beginning, right? If you're talking about specific project management activities, you're going to look at the interviewing skills of your customer. You're going to look at documentation around scope and requirements. You're going to try and understand tracking risks and issues. And as you progress up and show aptitude in that area, it becomes much more of a people leadership management role. So you have to be able to respond correctly when chaos happens around you or when you have conflicts within the team. Can you take your emotions out of the equation and deal with the situation as it is in a very mature, what are they, emotional intelligence level of being able to deal with things without getting involved with it. Obviously, if you have those skills now, even better. But typically, you're not asked to lead a lot of meetings and deal with the client directly, even a client sponsor at the very beginning. So the pressure is more about being very tactical and being able to accomplish your tasks that you're given, and then showing the aptitude to grow in the next role. So, volunteering to run meetings, volunteering to communicate with somebody outside of the team shows that initiative. And it's really that people interaction that you need to start learning now, that when you get into a situation, you've already been there. And as the speaker mentioned, you've done your errors now in your graduate program, and then when you get into the professional world after graduation, you're kind of not necessarily seasoned veteran, but you definitely have gone through the motions a little bit, and you've like, oh, I remember we did this case competition, it was very similar to this is how I'd act now. So I don't think, simply getting your graduate degree or getting a certificate in project management isn't going to automatically put you at the top of the ladder. But it shows your initiative in that space, and I think it should help you as you grow into more of that leadership role.
Thank you so much, Professor, for your answer. And yeah, so I think, does anyone have any last minute questions? Because we're soon going to conclude the session now, and we're going to come up with new events, and stay tuned to our social media so that you know what is the upcoming event coming up from PMC. So does anyone have any questions? I'm going to monitor the chat as well. Okay, I think the speaker lost his connection, but anyways, we are close to the end of the event. So
Sorry,
I think
guys.
since
Back in.
No problem, Ezhil. So I think there are no more questions from the attendees. So I think we can conclude the session. Thank you so much, Ezhil and Professor Scott, for gracing our event today and coming and clearing so many doubts that our students have regarding project management, and giving more insights on what project management has to do with different other roles in industry like consulting, data science, etc. So Rohan, do you want to say anything before we conclude?
Yeah, I would like to thank both the professor and Ezhil for their time and for their patience. Like, they have been very patient in answering all of the questions that we have heard from all of our members and like upcoming members probably. So yeah, thank you so much, guys, and thank you everyone who have joined today's kickoff meeting. I know few of you have joined from India and it's pretty late. And then again, there are people like who have had classes, maybe still they have joined in, to attend this meeting. They're interested in project management and hence they have shown this interest. So yes, please feel free to shoot any questions to any one of us, maybe to the professor, maybe one of the officers, as you have seen in the previous slides, or you already have our email ID. So you can shoot an email and reach out to us if you want to be a member, or even if you don't want to be a member, but you want to know something about project management, or maybe something related to professors' classes or anything. So feel free, connect with us, and we hope to, see you as part of our club very soon. So thank you,
Absolutely.
guys. Yeah, thank you,
Thank you
guys.
so
And,
much. Thank you, everyone.
yeah, thank you, Famina. You too.
Thanks, everyone.
And have a great evening, guys.
Have a
Thank
great
you, Ezra.
evening, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.